Hello and welcome to Mary's Nutrition Show, coming to you live from Seattle, Washington. Our mission here is to help you look better, feel better, and live better one meal at a time. And this episode is optimizing your workout before, during, and after. Now here's your host, Integrative Registered Dietitian, Mary Purdy.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Mary Purdy. I'm delighted to be here for our new fall season. Welcome.
Yep. So far, so good, Mary.
So far, so
good.
It's pretty exciting. I want to introduce somebody who's right over here, the producer of our show, Keith Hitchcock of Hocus Pocus Media, also my husband.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
Biggest fan, clearly. I'm doing such a great job so far.
Mary might be a little thrown off here on our new fall schedule. It's different. We're playing on Monday nights. And just 2 Monday nights. In a month, generally the first and the third Monday of the month. We're doing it on the last Monday of this month because of Labor Day, so we're just ahead of the game here for Labor Day. Yes. So today is our workout episode, no?
Yes, it sure is. I'm excited to talk about this. We're going to be talking about what you can do pre-workout to fuel that workout. I will be talking about what you can do during your workout to optimize that workout. I will be talking about post-workout strategies for how you can optimize your workout. So you're definitely going to want to stick around, because if you're somebody who's interested in athletic performance or even just working out well, these are tips you are not going to want to miss.
Bounce, boom, ba-da-bump. Hey, if you listen to the audio podcast version of this show, you get to hear the real theme music instead of me singing it.
And it's so much fun.
Maybe me singing it is a big draw. I'm not sure.
Why not? It's real. It's human. Please consult your registered dietitian or doctor before you take any advice from today's show. And please note that the content of today's show does not necessarily reflect the policies or beliefs of any of the associations with whom I work. Thank you.
Feel free to join the conversation today if you're watching live. There's a chat window to the right with your comments and questions. And if you're watching the recording of the live show on YouTube, there's a comment section underneath the video. And we try to respond to each and every comment and question. And FYI, there will be a Q&A section later on.
And there's a Q&I section as well.
We might. Questions and interrogations.
Questions about
Good one, Mary.
Thank you.
We had a nutrition challenge after our 3-part diet special.
Yes.
What was that?
That was to take a day and try out the vegan diet or the paleo diet or the anti-inflammatory diet.
Those were 3 whole diets.
I know. How did you do?
Yes, did you accept the challenge? How did you do? We want to know. Drop us a comment. And speaking of comments, we had a comment of the week, which is actually a question that Tanya had on one of our diet episodes, asking about a cookbook recommendation for the anti-inflammatory diet.
Yes, and I responded to her with a cookbook recommendation by a fellow RD colleague of mine named Michelle Babb, called Anti-Inflammatory Diet Eating, or Anti-Inflammatory Eating Made Easy. Great cookbook, lots of fun, really creative recipes. So for those of you out there looking to experiment with that anti-inflammatory diet, give it a shot.
And thanks for that comment or question, Tanya. It was a question, Tanya.
Yes.
And that just goes to show you that we are responsive to our audience.
We want to know what you want to know.
And now for your main course, part 1.
Main course, part 1. Eating/lifestyle choices before you work out. I want to say up front that it is essential, if you are somebody who is really focused on sports nutrition and athletic performance, that you work with somebody professional, a sports nutritionist, a personal trainer, who can really tailor and individualize your dietary recommendations to fit your goals, your height, weight, your workout that you're doing on a regular basis. Great to work with someone professional. I'm going to give you a taster sampler plate of some ideas of ways that you can optimize your workout. So, point number 1. Optimizing your workout is about providing fuel for your muscles to provide the best workout fuel that you need. This is going to be carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are what your muscles use for energy. And when you skip on the carbohydrates, you reduce your chances of having a more high stamina, more energetic workout, which can ultimately lead to either more fat burning, more cardiovascular beneficial impacts, and overall a more enjoyable workout. So carbohydrates are super important. Point number 2.
Can I ask you on point number 1?
Yes.
They're important to eat, carbs.
Yes.
But what do we eat and when do we eat them?
That's point number 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are you ready?
It's like you read my mind.
Oh my God! Here I am.
Okay.
You just asked point number 2. Are you ready for me to throw it? So point number 2 is, what do we eat when we're talking about carbohydrates? A lot of people are thinking, I don't really want to eat before I work out because my tummy gets all funny and I start to feel gassy and ugh. Well, it's up to you to experiment with what your body needs. But essentially, we're looking for easy to break down carbohydrates that can be digested very quickly. So those high fiber foods that I'm often talking about, those are not necessarily the carbohydrates that you want to be shooting for before a workout. But about 30 minutes before a workout, it's great to have a little something. It could be a banana or even half a banana. It could be some raisins. It could be a piece of bread. But it's up to you to test out what your body actually needs. Some people need a lot of carbohydrate depending on how big their workout's going to be, and some people just need a touch. So if you are somebody who's not used to eating before a workout, give it a try because it may really help to improve the length and the robustness of your workout.
Or it might not.
Or it might not.
And that's what the experimentation will help you find.
If your tummy feels funny, then that's not right for you. Or maybe it needs to be something very, very, very easy to digest, like a bit of diluted juice. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not at this moment. Thank you.
I'm going to go into point number 3. If you are going to be weight lifting or doing some kind of strength training, then it may not just be the carbohydrates that are important pre-workout. This is where a bit of protein can be helpful to prevent muscle breakdown and improve your chances of repairing post-workout. This is not meaning that you should eat an 8-ounce steak before you work out, but it might be about adding a bit of nut butter to that bread, or adding in some nuts and seeds to your dried fruit, or perhaps having a very light sandwich before you work out, maybe with some hummus as your source of protein, or some tuna fish salad, trying to be friendly to the omnivore world out there. But a bit of protein before you work out for strength training can be helpful. Point number 4. Hydration. Yes, hydration. Water is absolutely essential for all of the functions of the human body. And it's especially important to work on the enzymatic reactions that occur in order to give us energy while we work out. We also want to prevent cramping. Nobody likes to cramp while they work out. And overheating. Who wants to overheat? So it's essential to drink some water or some kind of fluid before you work out to prevent that. If you are dehydrated, that can actually impede your performance. And when you're exercising, not only are you using more fluids, but you're losing more fluids by sweating. So be sure that you hydrate before you work out, and you will have a more optimal workout. Lastly, I want to give 2 bonus points here, which is sleep and stretching. Before working out, it's really important to make sure that you have enough sleep, because that is what helps you to ensure that you are reducing your chance of injury. And stretching, and I'm not talking about really, really crazy stretching, but even just moving your body a little bit before you work out can help warm up those muscles. So those are really important to prevent injury later on and to speed up recovery. So that ends strategies and tips for your pre-workout.
That's great, Mary. And it's now time for the Q&A of this course.
Is it the Q&I time anytime soon?
We might have a Q&I section as well.
Okay.
If you are watching right now live and you have a question or a comment, feel free to drop that in the chat right now and we will take it on.
Yes.
I have a comment
Yes.
while people are considering whether or not to ask a question.
Yes.
And I know you need to do your workout now and that you did your appropriate carb eating
Thank you.
and
My
hydration.
yes.
And it is about stretching, which
Yes.
I have heard that it actually might be dangerous to stretch when your body is not warm. So
That's exactly right. You do not want to do long stretches where you are holding a stretch for an extended period of time. The idea is to do active warm-ups to engage your muscle. If you're going to be playing tennis, then you want to just at least move that muscle a little bit, or do things that where if you're going to be lifting weights like this, you just want to move your arms like this beforehand. So it's an active and dynamic warm-up as opposed to a lengthy stretch. That comes later.
yeah, obviously, if someone is an intense kind of athlete, they're probably working with some other trainer or something that has some more precise tips and tricks and such.
Absolutely.
You mentioned cramping, and I recall, having cramping while I'm exercising issues, and that potassium was a helpful thing. Do you know about that?
Yes, potassium is an important mineral for helping with prevention of leg cramping. Same things with magnesium. Those are essential to how the muscles work and the dynamic of fluids in and out of the various cells. So potassium, that's why bananas are so great.
Bananas.
They're bananas.
Love it.
Not only do they provide the carbohydrate, but they also provide that potassium. So that can be a perfect pre-workout treat before you get started.
You get to eat a banana.
Yeah.
I love bananas.
I know, they're so fun.
Okay. Can you give us a recap of our
can.
main course part 1?
Pre-workout recap. Make sure that you fuel with some carbohydrates. Experiment with how much and the types of carbohydrates that work for you. If you are strength training, try some protein before you work out. And lastly, be sure you are hydrating, sleeping, and doing some kind of dynamic warm-up beforehand. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Do you have a weekly challenge for us here?
I do have a weekly challenge. I challenge you, if you are somebody who has said to yourself, I can't eat before I work out ever. I challenge you to try just a touch of something before you start your workout. It can be 1 apricot or 1/4 of a cup of some juice. See if you note any improvement in your energy and ability to stay focused in your workout longer. Let me know how it goes.
This is the fun thing about your approach to nutrition, Mary. It's very experimental. It's like what works for you.
Oh, it's so individual. There's no blanket or generalized recommendations that are right for anybody.
You just never know what's going to work or not work until you try it.
You never know.
And now for your main course, part 2.
Main course, part 2. Strategies and tips for your during workout protocol. Oops, I lost my points.
I know. I saw that. You're going to have to use your fingers, Mary.
Okay, I'm going to have to go old school. Point number 1. Oh, it's going away. If you are working out for approximately 45 to 60 minutes, chances are you do not really need to replenish with any kind of food during that workout. You can just stick with some kind of fluid to make sure that you're staying hydrated. Point number...
Wow, we're all ready to point 2.
I'm keeping it simple.
Okay.
Point number 2. If you are working out 1 to 3 hours, then you might want to consider having a bit of carbohydrate as a snack while you're working out after that first hour. Approximately 30 grams of carbohydrate, but you may not need that much. Depends on how hard you're working out. Maybe it's just 15 grams of carbohydrate. That could be a banana. That could be 1/4 of a cup of raisins. That could be, again, some juice. Or it might even be something like this. One of these, I know it's baby food, that sounds crazy, but it's something really easy that you just take this thing off and get a burst of carbohydrates. There's also a teeny bit of other stuff in here.
How does that taste, Mary?
It tastes actually really delicious.
What flavor do you have there?
Pears, mangoes, and spinach. For God's sake, those babies have got it good. This is delicious.
You're eating baby food right now, Mary.
Don't judge me, okay? I'm teaching people how to make sure their workout is optimized.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So anyway, that is a great experimentation to do. See how it feels to get 15 grams or 30 grams. Now, if you are doing something, point number 3, if you are doing something much more rigorous like a marathon, you may need upwards of 60 to 90 grams of additional carbohydrate after that first hour. Again, that can be a big glass of juice because you're going to be burning through that carbohydrate really quickly if you're continuing to run or continuing to row or continuing to swim or whatever it might be. And again, it's up to you to experiment with what you feel like you need. As you practice this kind of strategy, you're going to figure out where your sweet spot lies. So that's point number 3. Point number 4, hydration. Really important to continue to stay hydrated while you are working out. Again, if it's just that 45-minute workout, you may not need a big glass of water, right? But if you are engaged in some kind of long-term activity to prevent cramping, to prevent overheating, it's terrific to continue to stay hydrated with water. And at that point, if you're doing a long-term activity, that's maybe where the electrolytes come in. But remember, electrolytes, which are your potassium, your magnesium, your calcium, your sodium, those also come in the form of food. So if you are eating throughout that workout, you are also getting some of those electrolytes already replenished. And if you are an excessive sweater, that's where you may need a bit more sodium and a bit more fluid than the typical person. So it's about 1 cup of water for every 15 to 20 minutes that you are working out very, very hard. So remember that and take note of your own thirst signals to see what works best for you. Thus ends the during workout tips and strategies.
That was main course part 2. It's now time for the Q&A. If you are watching live, feel free to drop a question or a comment in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer that.
Okay.
And I have a question.
Yes.
There are those sports drinks out there that, that I think talk about giving you electrolytes or whatever. Are those things you recommend or what?
I recommend some of them. A lot of them are very flashy and they're colored bright blue, which means they have artificial colors, and I don't recommend those. But there are some out there that are very, very simple. I have to remember what they're called. There's one that I believe is called Ultima, which is just very, very basic. And again, I think these are most necessary when you are working out for extended periods of time. If you're on the treadmill for 20 minutes, you do not need a Gatorade, I can guarantee you. And very often, it's just about eating some food and drinking some water and making sure that you've got enough sodium replenished if you're feeling like you're losing a lot of that in your sweat. So there you have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us a recap of the main course part 2?
I can. Main course recap. Number 1, make sure that you are staying hydrated no matter what type of workout that you are doing. If you're doing an excessively difficult workout, you may want to consider some kind of additional food to help fuel that workout. And lastly, if you're doing a marathon, then you need to be replenishing on a regular basis, both with food and with hydration, to make sure that you are continuing to fuel your body with what it needs. Thus ends the recap.
Okay, and how about a weekly nutrition challenge?
Yes, my weekly nutrition challenge to you is, as you are working out this week, I challenge you to grab some extra fluid during your workout to see what kind of results you might have. Besides needing to maybe go to the bathroom, the hope is that it will give you additional fuel, not necessarily fuel for your muscles, but fuel for your cells to stay hydrated. So see how it goes and let us know how you feel.
It seems like your approach is often about how you feel. And in general, should the feeling be like, I'm just thinking that the feeling should be, I feel great, I feel full of energy, I feel sharp.
Yes. You should feel like you're not being depleted or that you're not going to lose your step because you're so exhausted, either because you're dehydrated or you have a headache or you're feeling like your muscles are starting to feel weak or you don't have the same kind of strength as you're lifting. Those are all going to be indicators that your body isn't getting everything that it needs. So it's super important to tune into your body. And again, working with a personal trainer or a sports nutritionist or sports physician can really help you determine what's optimal for you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And now, for your main course, part 3.
Main course, part 3. What to eat and do post-workout. Well, it might just depend on the workout that you have. Believe me, if you are going for a stroll with your sweetie on a lovely evening, you do not need to replenish after that workout because it's not really a workout, it's a stroll. So there's no need to have a whey protein smoothie drink after you walk 20 blocks. But point number 1 around this post-workout is that protein is where your muscles, or protein is the piece that helps your muscles to rebuild and repair after a workout. So this is where it's important to get that protein into your post-workout meal or post-workout snack. Your body is actually primed for this because it is looking to repair in that 24 hours after you have broken down some of those muscles, I should say. Now, point number 2. The way to optimize that repair and the building of those muscles is to actually add some carbohydrate in there. And the strategy is to work for 3 carbohydrates to 1 protein. So if we're looking for about, let's say, 15 to 20 grams of protein post a workout, we want to do about 3 times as many grams of carbohydrate. So 45 to 60 grams of carbohydrate. This is why people love smoothies post a workout, because you've got your scoop of protein powder, or maybe you put tofu in there or something like that. That's usually around 15 grams, 20 grams of protein depending. And then you've got the smoothie fruits like your blueberries and your banana, which can give you an easy 60 grams of carbohydrates as well. So that can be a great option. The other idea that I have for that post-workout, these again can be omnivorously friendly. So we can do the vegan vegetarian option, could be a lentil soup, could be a bean burrito with rice and a tortilla, a whole grain tortilla. Or it could be a tuna fish sandwich with 2 pieces of whole grain bread for your carbohydrates and then that tuna fish in there for the protein. And remember that protein is not needed in much more than 15 to 20 grams after a workout. And in fact, more than 20 to 30 grams, or I should say, just to be conservative, more than 30 grams after a workout at one time is actually excessive to your body. It's more than what your body can handle. So it's good to space out your protein intake throughout the day. You're not needing 100 grams of protein post a workout. That's really, really hard on your kidneys. And one of the perfect protein replenishers is beans. Why? Because it comes with carbs as well. So beans are both carbs and protein. It's more of a 2-to-1 ratio, somewhere around 16, 17 grams of carbohydrates to about 7 grams of protein. That's where you may add some rice in there or some corn tortillas or something like that. But that can also be a terrific option.
I'm thinking maybe a bean smoothie might be just like the most perfect.
It's actually possible. I have recommended, I know you're joking, but I'm serious. Putting pinto beans in a smoothie is a great way to have a very sleek and smooth and fiber-rich smoothie post-workout.
Really?
Yep. I wouldn't put too many because you will curse my name. And by the way, we're on point number 3. But pinto beans, think of refried beans, right? Think of refried beans and how that can actually have an impact on the smoothness of the food that you're eating. Refried beans are very, very smooth, and they're usually made from pinto beans. So a quarter cup of pinto beans in your smoothie can be a great way to add protein, fiber, carbohydrates, and a little bit of smoothness. I have one more point on this.
Okay.
Point number 4. Hydration. Post-workout hydration is also essential to continue to prevent that cramping and to continue to make sure that you are not overheated after you've been working out for an hour, 2 hours, whatever the case may be. So make sure that you are getting plenty of fluids. One of the things that you can do is weigh yourself before you work out and then after you work out and see how much fluid you've actually lost by how much weight you have lost. And for every pound you have lost, shoot for about 2, 3, 8-ounce glasses of water. You could also check your urine. Yes, it should be a nice diluted lemonade color. If it looks too bright yellow, then chances are you might need a bit more hydration in your life. And also remember that sleep and that stretching comes in here. That's a great way to ensure that you don't do any bodily damage and that you allow for repair of your muscles. And sleep is really essential for that.
Okay, there's a running theme here in the before and the during and post
hydration,
workout,
sleep, fuel. Yep, all of the above.
All very important.
Yes.
Okay, it is time for the Q&A. So if you have a question, feel free to drop that in the chat right now, and we'll do our best to answer it. And I have a question, Mary, while you're working out here. Yep. In terms of hydration, I seem to remember some issue with ice cold water. It tastes so good to drink, but do you know if that's actually a physiological issue to be drinking ice cold water in your hot body?
I feel like I knew the answer to that question at some point in my career, and I don't have an answer for it right now. The only thing that I can think is that cold water constricts things. And that may not always be optimal when we want our arteries to be opening to provide oxygen flow throughout our entire bodies. And so that may be one of the reasons that it isn't necessarily advised. But it sure does feel good to have a cold drink after you work out. Does. So I don't want a big cup of tea after I've been running for an hour.
No.
Like I run for an hour. I don't do that. I dance for an hour, but who wants to run for an hour? Not me. That's not my style.
Are there some particularly hazardous or ill-advised things to eat or consume after a workout?
I mean, I think your body after a workout is burning, it's at its highest metabolism for that 12 hours. So very often people will suggest having a big glass of chocolate milk as being the perfect post-workout. And I would say, why add additional sugars? And usually chocolate milk is going to be filled with high fructose corn syrup. So you're not really actually getting healthy amounts of sugars. You're getting high fructose corn syrup, which is not beneficial. So I think in general, post-workout, it would be the same as some of the typical recommendations that I give, which is, to avoid the trans fats, the processed foods. If you are working out really hard, that may also have an impact on your digestion. So having a huge high fiber or high fat meal after you work out may be difficult for you to digest. So depending on how things are operating in that department, you may want to reconsider how much you're eating after a workout like that.
Okay. There's a question from Jill. And you may have answered this, but maybe you can take another go of this around cramping. She asks, do you recommend anything for cramping with magnesium or potassium?
Yes. So one of the things that is important to think about is to ensure that before you work out, you have those sources in your diet. Now, if you're a regular potassium and magnesium eater, those things should be available to you. If you want to think about having magnesium-rich foods or potassium-rich foods before you work out, that can be an option as well. That can be where a banana might come in, an avocado might come in for a quick something. But also post-workout, For cramping or for muscle repair and muscle pain, magnesium is really helpful to manage that, and that can be somewhere around 200 milligrams. Again, experiment with somebody, work with a professional on the amount that's right for you, but that's a good option.
Okay, thanks for that question, Jill. And now for a recap of the main course, part 3.
Recap of main course post-workout nutrition. Number 1, make sure you are getting protein post that workout to help with muscle repair and injury prevention. Number 2, make sure that you are getting carbohydrate with that protein to optimize replenishing what are called those glycogen stores in your muscles so that they have plenty to work on and use for the next workout, which could just be the following day. Number 3, ensure that you are getting sufficient amounts of hydration post that workout to ensure that you are staying nice and cool, and that you are, my last point was about the cramping as well. So thus ends the summary of the post-workout strategy.
Excellent. And how about a weekly nutrition challenge?
Yes, my challenge to you on the workout, the post-workout, is to take 5 extra minutes after your workout to really stretch a different part of your body, to see what happens when you dedicate to an area that you often feel maybe needs a little bit more attention. Take the 5 minutes. We're talking 5 minutes, not that long, to really make
walks. And I don't always stretch after those.
Yeah.
And
you might feel a real difference in your hips, or your hamstrings, or your calves, or wherever else you might be exerting muscles as you walk uphill.
I'm going to do it.
All right.
I'm on. Okay. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. If you appreciate this show, you can help us out by subscribing to the Mary Purdy YouTube channel and or subscribing to Mary's Nutrition Show podcast. iTunes, the podcasts app, or your other favorite podcast app is a great place to do that.
Yes.
And keep in touch. We have a question and comment form at our website, and we'd love to hear from you if you have a question or a comment. It's at you can find that at marypurdy.co. That's marypurdy.co.
Yes.
Mary's staying hydrated there. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining the conversation, and thank you, Mary, as always, for all your lovely information.
Thank you,
and
Keith.
a reminder to our audience that we are on a new schedule this fall. We are going live on 2 nights out of our month, the first and third Mondays. It's Mondays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And today was our first Monday, even though, well, it's a little confusing. It's because Labor Day is coming.
It feels like a first Monday, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
After
does.
a month of being gone.
It really does. But it's nice. It's nice to see you, Mary. It's nice to be back
Yes,
in
I
the
haven't
studio.
seen you since I think maybe at least 10 minutes before we started the show.
Our next live show is going to be on September 18th, and you'll definitely want to join us then. Why?
Because I will be talking about getting your Z's, nutritional and lifestyle tips for better sleeps. We all need those.
Mary,
Oh,
we got to close.
good morning.
See you next time.
Thanks for being here.
Roll the credits. This show was produced by Keith Hitchcock and Hocus Focus Media.
The show is intended for information and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to replace or substitute professional health advice or care and should not be used for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease. Please consult your physician before following any advice contained here. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have learned on this show. The opinions expressed on this show are those exclusively of Mary Purdy, the show staff, and guests, and do not necessarily represent the views or policies of Arivale, Bastyr, Dietitians in Integrative and Functional Medicine, or other entities. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.